DEI, or at least the concept, has been around for decades, usually in the form of treat everyone with kindness and respect. It seems like up until about 5 years ago or so, no one ever heard of DEI, let alone have a department devoted to it in their company. And then it exploded on the scene. It quickly turned into a billion-dollar industry, and largely due to the rise of injustice in America. BLM, or Black Lives Matter, a prominent social movement, led people to the streets demanding equality and justice. BLM was founded in 2013 after an acquittal of a police officer in the death of Trayvon Martin. Fast forward to 2020 and the death of George Floyd. BLM's activism was everywhere, demanding everyone stand in solidarity with BLM, and many did. Company CEOs delivered speeches and letters standing for injustice. Colleges and students marched in protest, putting black squares on their social media posts. Companies and college campuses quickly developed diversity, equity, and inclusion frameworks and offices, hiring diversity experts to raise the alarm when a company veers off the path of justice. What followed was a barrage of demands from activist groups such as BLM to address America's systems of oppression and power structures. The reason America was non-inclusive and why minorities were held back was because of systemic racism perpetrated on blacks and minorities since its founding. Activists like Ibram X. Kendi, the writer of How to Be an Anti-Racist, preached to the world that the system itself was corrupt, needing direct action to fix it. Kendi's book became mainstream, even making it to the United States Navy's top 10 read list in 2021. More and more DEI commitments were everywhere. Companies put forth diversity goals and inclusion standards, not only in the name of racism, but sexism and genderism as well, meeting X amount of minorities in various positions across a company, but usually in high positions of power. Companies like United Airlines set a goal in 2023 by having 50% of women or people of color join the United Aviate Academy in order to calibrate diversity. Or Disney executives vowing to have at least 50% of its characters be LGBTQ in the name of inclusion. VMware CEO committed to no job hiring process will end unless a minority candidate is interviewed. Mozilla commits to doubling the percentage of Black and Latinx representation of its 1,000-person U.S. staff. Even more startling, the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada proposed that in a memo that their new model would seek to center values on anti-oppression and racism and social justice rather than medical expertise. However, as time went on, the more inclusive we got, the less inclusive it felt. Companies like Coca-Cola began training on being less white. Best Buy was accused of denying tech support to white people, as well as starting a management training program which is not open to whites. Some government institutions offering 3 things to indigenous people and people of color, while others were defining whiteness in the United States. Universities holding DEI training for people of color separately than white people. Safe spaces are created for inclusivity, except for whites. Books about whiteness and white fragility became front and center of the DEI enterprise, where books like White Fragility state, a positive white identity is an impossible goal, and white identity is inherently racist. Seminars and workshops on whiteness and white privilege tell white people that they're all racist, and they can only be rectified by internalizing their whiteness. All of a sudden, diversity didn't seem so diverse. Inclusion seemed to be really exclusion. But the question is, why? A capitalist society does not immiserate the workers, but helps them build a better life. These words from Max Horkheimer, a socialist philosopher from the Frankfurt School in Germany, were a critique of Karl Marx's work. Karl Marx, being the father of communism and the author of the Communist Manifesto, believed that in order to bring society into a perfect communist utopia, you need to have an immiseration of the working class, the proletariat, to overthrow the ruling class or the bourgeoisie, the oppressor versus oppressed paradigm. Since capitalism brought home the goods, so to speak, and created a happy working class, revolution would need to happen through other channels, and the working class was no longer needed. Another philosopher from the Frankfurt School, Herbert Marcuse, moved to America in 1934. He theorized that the real energy of a socialist revolution is not in the working class, but in the minorities, or what he would call enlightened minorities consisting of marginalized groups, outcasts, and outsiders. as well as student revolutionaries. He theorized that in order for true socialism to reveal itself, the dominant systems of Western society, that is, its beliefs, values, attitudes, preferences, and structures, needed to be deconstructed to allow for a social transformation where true equity can be achieved. In Marcuse's 1965 work, Repressive Tolerance, he argued that true democracy might ultimately require denying basic rights to people who advocate for conservative causes, or for policies he viewed as aggressive or discriminatory, and that true freedom of thought might require professors to indoctrinate their students. These new revolutionists would develop structural, historical, societal, and inequity awareness called critical consciousness, known in today's terms as woke. Marcuse deemed that the oppressed minorities were justified in acting undemocratic in an attempt to seize power until the working class can be unbrainwashed and establish socialism. The term that this ideology was called? Critical theory, and later, through the lens of race, critical race theory. Herbert Marcuse would use his platform as a professor at Columbia, then Harvard, Brady's University, and University of California, San Diego, where he would teach his ideologies, creating student revolutionaries. One such student was by the name of Angela Davis, who would later be a leader in the Communist Party of America. Through the socialist teaching of Herbert Marcuse, Davis went on to be a revolutionary activist throughout her life, gaining a mentee by the name of Patrice Cullors, the founder of BLM. Cullors described the leaders of BLM to be trained Marxists, super versed in ideological theories. Co-founder Elisa Garza tweeted, "Black-on-black crimes are not a black pathology, but it's capitalism." For these new Marxist revolutionaries, it wasn't about true diversity and inclusion. It was about power structures perpetrated by white supremacy that needed to be deconstructed in order for oppression to be eliminated. But why use DEI? The word equity originated in 1968 from the public administration literature by a man named George Frederickson, in which he defined equity as an administered political economy in which shares are adjusted so that citizens are made equal. So equity is seizing the economic production and distributing it to the community so people are more equal. If this sounds familiar, it's because it shares the same definition as socialism. The only difference is the type of property they distribute, the type of shares. This being social and cultural capital as well as economic capital. If equity is the goal, then diversity and inclusion are the mode to which equity is achieved, and this occurs from within. As Italian communist Antonio Gramsci depicts, that the West nullifies the intrusion of communism due to rich culture he calls cultural hegemony. Gramsci's strategy to root in communism was to infiltrate and capture institutions from within, ripping them inside out. This would later be known as the Long March through the institutions, coined by communist Rudi Dutschke. In order to deliver social and cultural capital, experts in diversity who were critically conscious of social inequities in society were brought in to oversee their agenda. These critically diverse experts were of the same fashion in communist regimes, called commissars, to enforce the party line. Inclusion to this ideology is the welcome environment of marginalized groups, and in order to have these groups feel welcomed, anything threatening would have to be excluded in order to prevent trauma or violence. This is why whites were being excluded, because their mere presence generated systemic trauma. Not only that, it excluded anyone who had opposing ideas, which is why political commentator Larry Elder, a black man, was called the black face of white supremacy, because his views did not support the revolution. Or how Representative Ayanna Pressley said, "We don't need any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice," during a Liberal Networks Nation conference. DEI, simply put, was the perfect call for solidarity while subverting capitalism, using unity to call forth revolution in the name of justice, having commissars in place because they know what critical diversity looks like, while using entryism in the name of inclusion to berate the opposition until they quit or leave, replacing them with ideologues for the revolution. That's not to say that DEI was some evil construct created by the revolutionists. It wasn't, and in fact, diversity is a good thing. Inclusion is a good thing. Bringing people together from different perspectives to solve a problem or a goal is proven to enhance companies and groups. But that's not what's going on. DEI is being tainted by student revolutionaries and revolutionists to twist perspectives while gaslighting people into having their own race or stating, "It's okay to be white" signs are hate speech, having white accountability workshops, creating diversity magazines where they would confront white Americans who made excuses for their denied racism. It's being scared to speak or being accused of tone policing by black women. And while merely looking at somebody if you're right is wrong because it doesn't decenter whiteness. It's pausing job offers for white men to meet diversity targets. It's having white men need not apply programs. It's being either on the white or right side of history. It's changing definitions so whites are racist only, and in their final act, it's abolishing the white race. So next time you're in a DEI training where your boss touts equity and inclusion, start asking questions. Find out what their true motives are. It could be noble means, or it could be communism.
Kick the fathers out the house, send the mothers back to work. Let the school system parent your children right from the birth. Make them meal, feed them pills, confuse them about what's real. Tell them facts don't really matter, it's all about how you feel. Science and math are racist, history let's erase it. Indoctrinate a whole generation, you can't escape it. It's bigger than American politics, you're an accomplice. White people racist and bigots and you're a colonist. If you want freedom, we'll encourage to do the opposite. It's toxic masculinity, if a man is too confident. Excuse me, what's a woman? Well, I am not a biologist. Common sense is really not common when you're a communist. Parents that care about their kids, let's call them terrorists. It's cool to be a feminist and an environmentalist. And if you love the country, that makes you a white supremacist. Don't even try defending it, cause what you say's irrelevant. Put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a racist if you don't think that add up. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up. Don't have children. If you do, then abort them. If your neighbors don't comply with the government, then report them. If you have independent thoughts, then just ignore them. Communism's the way, democracy is too boring. Bring your kids to a drag show. Give them a couple $. Worry about the Epstein flight logs. The case is closed, so don't even go and ask, bro. Trust the WHO and CDC. None of our politicians work for the CCP. White kids are born racist. If you disagree, that makes you a damn racist. Study CRT. In today's lesson, men can get pregnant. Put your hands down, no more questions. Don't say pedophile, just say ALA. Adults that like adolescents. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a racist if you don't think that add up. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up. We want to drive the whole world crazy. Brainwash kids from the time they're babies. We want you dependent and lazy. They never learn, honestly, it amazes me. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a racist if you don't think that add up. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 + 2 = 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up. We want to drive the whole world crazy. Brainwash kids from the time they're babies. We want you dependent and lazy. They never learn, honestly, it amazes me. What's up, y'all? Thank you for watching my brand new music video, 2 + 2 = 5. If you can, check out the description box below. Click that link and grab yourself a t-shirt. Common sense isn't common when you're a communist. I appreciate y'all.